grand housing plan, but Fianna Fáil reveal weaknesses. Well, let's ask the Fianna Fáil spokesperson on urban renewal and housing. That is Pat Casey, locally here, of course, TD, about this weakness that is in the plan. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Declan. How are you this morning?
Okay, thank you. So, what's this from Fianna Fáil? You've given lukewarm reaction, or you're happy with it, but you're unhappy with parts of it?
In fairness, and I'm supposed to be in fairness to the Minister, it's very hard to get a complete plan out there that would satisfy everybody. Cautiously, we're welcoming it, especially in relation to the high level objectives that he's put into it. We were concerned about a number of sectors that we felt dealt with within the plan, and hopefully we can deal with it over time. And that would have been, I suppose, the one major one would be people in mortgage distress, that there was no real dealing with that whole sector, and that's a sector that can become homelessness overnight, and the priority was put in trying to tackle homelessness. That is one aspect of it where we have concerns about it. You know, in the programme for government, the government had a dedicated court. It seems to be gone out of the plan. There's no dealing with it. The Housing Committee asked for a short-term moratorium on mortgages. It hasn't been dealt with within this plan. And the short-term moratorium was just to put everything on hold until we came up with a concrete plan to deal with distressed mortgages. That is missing out of it, and that is a concern to us. And I suppose Stephen did mention the rental sector, that there has no real engagement been done, or no really clear plan in relation to the rental sector. And in fairness to the Minister, did point out yesterday that this is not the complete plan. He also pointed out in relation to the rental sector, he has more work to do in relation to this, in relation to rent certainty and security of tenure, and that still has to come, and we'll have to hold him to that. And the other thing that my former Deputy Town mentioned was the whole housing and for universities and colleges, and the impact that hasn't been addressed with. That's been kicked down the road for another year. But what people, I suppose, don't understand, the impact that sector has on taking up houses for people who are homeless at the moment. So there were 3 or 4 things that we have concerns about as a party moving forward. But I suppose the other thing to look at is today, if everything in this plan was delivered within a 6-year period, we would be a lot better off than we are today. So it's about taking this and stop talking about it now and delivering and inputting it on the ground and getting results on the ground and working through problems as they arise, Declan.
Okay, but look at the housing list. Let's bring it to Wicklow. We've got a massive housing list. Do you see that we wiped out?
Well, I suppose there's a programme into trying to. We will never wipe out the housing list. There will always be a housing list, but it's trying to minimise it down to it's a practical level that we.
What does that mean? Many people have we got on the housing list at the moment?
Over 3,000 at the moment on the housing list.
Okay, so what's practical?
I suppose practical, even going back to my time when I went on the council, was in around 1,000. There was always in around 1,000 on the housing list, which is manageable because there's always programmes coming in place where they will be dealt with over a 5-year window.
So are we talking about eliminating 2,000 households from the waiting list?
As a minimum, I would say, Declan, we would hope to be in Wicklow. And then having a plan in place that keeps it at that. So people are not spending 10 years on the housing list. They're only spending 2 or 3 years on the housing list. And that's where I suppose we have to get to. The plan identifies a number of ways of addressing this immediately. The new bills, regretfully, is going to take time. So the new bills is not going to come into play until realistically late 2017, 18 and 19, where you see the high returns on them. So we're looking at the voids in relation to vacant properties, and there has been, as in the census there last week, the number of vacant properties in the country is quite staggering, and 180,000 homes are sitting there at the moment, vacant across the state. And how do we get them back in to the market is one of the objectives of this plan. And in fairness to the Minister, set out a process that can help deliver that. And then apart from that, in the short term, we're looking at acquired leasing while we're trying to ramp up the building, and it's still depending on HAP. And if you look at the graph, I suppose the HAP scheme over the 6-year period, while it's the majority of 2016 is the minority of it by 2021.
Do you see this working?
It has to work, Declan. If it doesn't work, we have to fix it. And I suppose, from my point of view, my involvement in politics has been the single frustrating thing is where we come out with a strategy or a plan, and elements of that plan are not working. We're afraid to say, this aspect is not working. Let's go back, revisit and fix it and move on. And I think this is what has to happen with this plan. We have to monitor it. We have to make sure it's working and it's delivering homes on the ground. And if it's not, we have to put our hand up and say, this is not working. What's not working in it? Fix it and move on without going back to try and create a whole new strategy again. And that's where I will be coming from. My point of view, I will be keeping the government to account on this. If things aren't working, let's try and fix it. Let's not go back out and do another whole housing strategy, but fix what's not working in it. Because in fairness, you touch an element in this and it has could have an adverse effect where you were never expecting it.
All right. We'll watch out for that. Yeah. Okay. All right, Pat Casey, thanks very much indeed. That's Pat Casey, TD, spokesperson on urban renewal and housing, and on the housing committee there in the Dáil. More, I suppose, on the ground reaction from County Wicklow in just a second. Also, we're going to meet a guy who's been out all hours of the night and day chasing Pokemons. That's right. There are such people, and we've found one. We'll have a chat with him very soon too. The Morning Show at 087 77 11 103.
The Morning Show on